So I guess it starts with Congressman Barr. As Republicans, we all agree that the debt, the deficit, and spending is out of control. The issue, however, that divides our caucus in the U.S. House is how far to go. And the question I have for you is, in order to control spending, would you vote to again shut the government down? If so, why? And if not, why not?
When we had the budget battles, Randy, as you well remember, and you were very intimately involved in working those issues with us in the House back in the late 1990s with Clinton. Sometimes it is necessary to force a president to the negotiating table to refuse to pass bills that he wishes to pass reflecting the budget numbers that he wants. And when Tom DeLay was our majority whip, and Dick Armey was our majority leader, and Newt was our speaker, we had a team and a philosophy of governance that said, and we held the line on this, we will not allow and did not allow a single spending bill sought by the Clinton administration to come to the floor of the House for a vote. Now, that precipitated a brief so-called government shutdown, which, as you know, wasn't really a government shutdown. It simply was a temporary cancellation of non-essential government services, which raises the question, why are we paying for them anyway? But we'll leave that aside. So sometimes it is necessary to come to that point when an administration such as the Clinton administration and now the Obama administration refuses to properly and legitimately negotiate with the Republicans in the House, who are in the majority in the House, in order to be able to pass a budget and or a continuing resolution. So yes, it does become necessary sometimes when you have an administration that will not negotiate in good faith. Sometimes that's the only way, and we have to take it then.
We're talking about a debt. Because of Congress's deficit spending, a small businessman, I at least have the common sense to know that you can't spend more than you take in without going bankrupt. We have increased this debt to unbelievable amounts, $18 trillion by the end of this fiscal year. To give you an idea of how much $18 trillion is, if you go back to the birth of Christ and you put $16,000 in the bank every 60 seconds, you still wouldn't have $18 trillion today. Just the interest payment on that debt could have bought 2,700 F-35 fighter planes, and they cost $151 million apiece. This is a national security issue. Sometimes you have to take a hard stand. When I was in Washington, D.C., when FreedomWorks named me one of the top 5 most conservative candidates in the nation, we addressed this issue. And I said the problem we have in the House of Representatives is really a leadership problem more than anything. Because the Republicans are putting their finger in the air, they're seeing which way the wind is blowing, and sometimes you just have to make the hard stand. The problem we have is our Republican brethren have been more interested in staying in power than doing anything with the power. And sometimes you just have to make a solid and bold stand. And you know what? Do sort of like the Democrats did to get Obamacare. It should have never passed. It was the most unpopular bill in modern history. But how did they pass it? Because Nancy Pelosi was willing to sacrifice her speakership for a cause she believed in. That's what we need to be doing as Republicans. Sometimes you have to make a stand, and yes, in that instance, I believe we would have to make a stand or make a stand and say no. We will not continue to expand this debt ceiling and further put our children in jeopardy.